Hey Shannon, how are you doing this week?
Good. How are you?
I am good. It's been like we're getting this late summer thing here in California. So, and I've heard that this is what happens, but we're almost October and we've had a week of like 80, 90-degree weather. It's been actually awesome because it's been clear and not much fog. Well,
Oh, nice.
today is foggy, but the last few days have been bright and clear and nice.
Oh, yeah, today has been not that. It was actually gorgeous over the weekend here. It was about 85 and sunny all weekend. But then today we had, one of our famous, like, here's your nice hot days in the 80s, and then here's the cliff we're going to dive off into announce fall. Yeah, that was today. And
Yeah.
so it was about 80-ish and sunny yesterday. And then when I went out with the dogs this morning, it was probably about 70. When I went out this afternoon, it was cold, raining, about 52.
Gradually plummeting, huh?
Yep, and tonight's low is like 43 or something.
Oh, cold.
Yeah, so
It's that time of
so enjoy
year.
your sunshine and heat, and
Yes.
I'll be over here in my buffalo plaid and
Yeah.
officially celebrating fall.
It's
Yeah,
that time of year. I guess we deserve it. I'm still
it
trying to
is.
eke out some stuff from my plants. I've got I think I talked to you last week about my tower garden that I have. I have
Yeah,
tomato plants in there. And so I've been getting
nice.
tons of advice from people. You mentioned it too, to start like trimming them back a little bit and
Hmm.
starting to see if that helps because the plants look awesome, but there are no tomatoes on there yet. So I have
Yeah,
started to like take all the little suckers off and then, just start to trim some branches off of the plants to make it more manageable. And there are a few of them now that have the little yellow flowers
nice.
on there. So I think that's a good sign.
Ah, good. It's coming.
So
Yep,
I'm excited to see
nice.
those come out.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So we're getting there. We'll have a little bit of something coming off of there. I
We're
have
getting it.
some fennel plants popping up in my garden. So in the
Oh,
ground.
nice.
Yeah. And some
Look
beets.
at you.
I know something's happening. We'll see how far it
Got
goes.
a nice little garden going on. That's
Yes,
cool.
it's getting started. Yeah, and
Yay.
speaking of the change of seasons, we've got we're well into fall at this point, I guess, a week into it anyways, according to the calendar.
We're just gonna claim it. Yeah.
Yes. And so that means lots of changes in weather, lots of changes in, holiday season coming up before we know it, and so many other things that
Mhm.
can impact our how we eat, how we move. I was talking with some friends the other day about, as the weather gets colder, it gets harder and harder to maintain your outdoor routine, and not just the cold. I think it's
Mhm.
also just the darkness. Um,
Yeah.
that seems to impact me more than anything is just staying motivated when it starts to get dark earlier and you don't have as much, and it gets dark later and or light later in the morning too. And so you don't have as
Hmm.
much light time to be able to get outside and do things. So you kind of either have to
Yeah.
convince yourself that you can do it in the dark or sometimes, bring your routine inside. We still have some
Yeah.
gyms that are closed because of the
That's
pandemic.
true.
So lots of stuff that can impact what we're doing at this point in time. What's the biggest thing that you find when you change seasons like this that you struggle with?
Also, I mean, like that darkness part of just like knowing how to be outside safely. I
Hmm.
mean, because a lot of people, they want to start or end, and it's going to be either dark at the beginning or end of their workout. Because, like, say they might get home at 5 or 6. Like right now, I guess it doesn't get that dark till like 7 something. But like you want to go out for an hour run, and all of a sudden, like, oh, you start off at 6:15, you finish at 7:15. It's dusky. You wore like a gray shirt and black tights or something, and you're like, cool, I blend in with the asphalt. This is a great plan.
Right?
um, and the reflective details that everything says, like, this is going to cost $50 more for reflective details, they're like wee little tiny dots like on a cuff, and so it doesn't really count. So I think remembering and getting some like lightweight running lights
Hmm.
and just convincing yourself to bring those and turn them on, because I've got like this it's like a string of lights that almost fits like a vest, and
Yeah.
it's got like that power pack thing in the back, and so
Yeah.
it's so light you don't even notice it's there. It's great. It's super bright. I love it. And then I've
Yeah.
got some really reflective tights, but just remembering to get those out. So
It is. Yeah, it's partially denial for me too that it's time to do that. But
yeah.
so I've been relying on I've haven't managed to convince myself to put the vest on yet. I don't have one of the lit vests. I have like the reflective vest. It's just the like
Mm-hmm.
crossing guard thing, which is fine. But I've
Mm-hmm.
been
Yeah.
using my headlamp. So I actually have
Yeah.
pulled that out because I tend to go out in the morning for my runs. And so I
Mm-hmm.
get out there a little bit before 6, and it hasn't been getting light here until maybe 6:30. So a good, half of
Okay.
my
Yeah.
run is still in the dark. And
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, sometimes if it is still fog or, marine layer in the morning, then it's even harder to see. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
helped to at least get that light out for me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's good to know
Yeah.
those vests, the lighted vests are
Mhm.
good. You don't have any problems with that fits well and
No.
everything.
Yeah, it's got like 5 different ways you can adjust it and stuff, and they come in different sizes, and so then you just get one that like you measure yourself and you go from there. But
Yeah.
mine fits nice and snug. Like it fits nice and snug around my rib cage, and then the little light part here has like it's almost like the little balls that you see on the end of ties that you just like cinch up, kind of. You
Yeah.
can do that,
Yeah.
and it holds it in place. And then after the first like 5 seconds, you don't even realize it's there. And so, but
That's
super
good.
bright. Like I've had neighbors and stuff. They're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you wear that light." And I'm like, "Yes, so am I. Don't hit me."
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to
Yeah.
check into those. That might be a little more enticing than my little reflective vest that I have.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it works, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And on the non-running days for me, I've been doing, since I haven't gone back to a gym or anything. So I've been
Mhm.
just doing weights or yoga or, anything like that in just a little spot in my bedroom. And
Mhm.
that's how so that's all indoors, a little bit easier, but yeah, you've got to
Yeah.
find something that you're still comfortable with, that you're doing safely, and that you can,
Mhm.
keep you motivated throughout the season when it's shorter daylight hours and most of the time colder.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting colder. Yeah. And fun fact is, you mentioned working on your bedroom with like a few weights or something. I have discovered, and it was pointed out to me last week. So dumbbells, bands, all that stuff. Ever since pandemic hit, have been almost impossible to find. There are some companies now that if you buy like bundles of stuff, they don't have the individual item available, but they have now bundled things together. And so, of course, I just blanked on the name. But there was, it's like Fit Life or something. Either way, uh, they have a hip thrust machine with bands. You can buy that, and they're adjustable 50-pound dumbbells. The dumbbells themselves are normally like $400, but you could buy both things with all their bands and whatnot for like $550.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, yeah. Like if you try
Yeah.
to buy the individual components, they were both out of stock. But if you bought the bundle, you could do that. And I've noticed Rogue did that with a few of their sandbags and different things. And there's been other spry, however you say it, things come up saying that like, oh, you can buy this expensive piece of thing to go with it, and you'll get all of these other little things that you really want.
Yeah.
But
That's not bad, because those adjustable weights are pretty expensive normally. And
mm-hmm,
the nice thing is, it takes up less space if you just have one set that
mm-hmm,
you can add and remove the weights to, and you don't have to worry about, only having one, because I think I have an 8-pound set and a 12-pound set, and that's all I have
yeah,
to work with. Whereas those usually go from like 5 to 30 or something, don't they?
anything. Yeah,
Anything?
the one that we just found was 50. I think it's Bowflex that stops, well, at least the one set was like 30. You can find some for like only go up to 25. But I mean, for most people and for most exercises, 25 is all you need.
Yeah,
Like
plenty.
it's a rare workout that you need 50s on a regular or
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's plenty. And yeah, so that's easy enough and you think about,
Mhm.
550 is still an investment in equipment. Obviously
Yeah.
it's not cheap, but if you think about a gym membership, if you're someone who's been used to having a gym membership, I mean,
Mhm.
mine was always, I one gym that was maybe $40 a month or something, but sometimes I'd do the $70 a month, gym membership. And
Mhm.
so, can certainly save you time or save you money
Oh
over
yeah.
time. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, could be worth the investment if you're one that can continue to motivate yourself at home. And maybe that's even better
Mhm.
because you can, be in front of the TV, or you can do it for a 10-minute session instead of feeling like you've got to dedicate an hour and a half to go to the gym.
Right. right. That or you'll sit down and be like, okay, kids are leaving me alone for now. Everything's done. And just do like a quick core workout. And then
Mhm.
like a couple hours later, like, I mean, it's not the most ideal setup, but if you get core done here and then a couple hours later, like, oh, I can get this first half of a leg workout done. That's fine. Take 15 minutes, do that. And then a few hours later, like, cool, I can get the second half done. Take 15, 30 minutes, do that. And that it still is better than nothing.
Mhm.
And that's,
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole point is to be better than nothing, especially as it gets cold and like you're encouraged to like bundle up and snuggle up and have your hot chocolate and your pumpkin spiced everything and
Yeah.
pumpkin pie and everything, all that stuff, just be gluttonous and be like, I'm allowed to hibernate, leave me alone. And then come January, you're like, crap, I have 30 pounds to lose before spring break.
Right? Yeah, you get in that vicious cycle. And I mean, speaking of the food part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
it is cold, so you want to, your hot chocolate and your pumpkin spice, whatever. And then I feel like this is the time of the year, even though it's not even October yet, there's so many more get-togethers, maybe less of them this year, but you're still tempted
Oh,
by,
sure, yeah.
yeah, you're still tempted by whatever's out there. And everything's
Mm-hmm.
available earlier anymore from all the holiday,
Mm-hmm.
treat stuff. So that's the other piece of it, is now we're getting into this season. Maybe you're not outside as much, so you're inside, you're trying to find things to do. You're eating more than you might
Mm-hmm.
normally eat because of that, because you don't really have all the other stuff that might normally be going on. And so that's that's challenge number two as we get into fall and winter, is how do you,
Yeah.
continue to eat better than than what you might be tempted to do.
Right.
And we've talked about that so many times, but everything in moderation, right? To me, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
part of it is mindset for me, because
Mm-hmm.
as you go into this season and you think all about all that stuff that's available, and I think there's this feeling like, oh, it's only going to be around for a little while, so I can go ahead and enjoy it, and
I know.
you kind of don't put the brakes on. Or you have this feeling like, if I don't do it now, I'm going to miss out on this for the next year. Well, odds are you're not.
Right.
You're going to have plenty of
Right.
opportunities to dig into the good stuff, and so be
Mm-hmm.
selective about how you dig in.
Well, and also like I know sometimes you feel a little ridiculous. Like you can show up to a gathering and be like, oh, I really want to only eat like hummus and the carrot sticks because everything else is fried or covered in mushroom soup or something. It's just not, it's traditional Midwestern food and that's fine.
Mhm.
But and so if you do more of like a 75-25, 80-20 rule where like 75 to 80% of your time you're eating good food, you're having a balanced diet, everything else is great. And then that 20 to 25% is when you just sit down and enjoy your family's meal. You show up to grandma's house, you eat what grandma made. And like
Right.
you can try and influence them to have like healthier choices. Be like, oh, can I bring, I don't know, fill in blank here, like a green bean casserole that doesn't look like it's made of human mushroom soup and those what are they?
French
The
onion
crunchy
things.
onions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Where it's just like, it's not recognizable as a green bean anymore.
Right.
Like, it's just like this mass. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll totally take that. And so like you can make a healthier version of that where it's still recognizable as green beans. You filled the tradition of having the green beans there. You've made a healthier option and you're still
Mhm.
participating with the other meals. And so you're less isolated, I think. Um, and then like with the pumpkin spice, like everyone goes, I want to be white girl basic and have my black tights and have my white or my pumpkin spice latte. It's like that's fine, but don't have one for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 5 to 7 days a week. Have like one on a Friday. Like cool,
Yeah.
I'm done with work for the week. Celebrate.
Yeah. Make it a
Then
true
good the rest of the
treat.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy otherwise, if you let yourself go down that path, it's so easy to, your morning black coffee turns into your morning like sugary souped up pumpkin
Mm-hmm.
spice, thing. And it can be hard to distinguish, like if you're not making it on your own, you
Right.
might think about it and think, oh, well, it's just spices and coffee. Well, it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, there's always some sort of creamy something in there, some sort of artificial
Mm-hmm.
sugar thing in there that makes it taste the way it does. Um, yeah, so thinking about
Yeah.
it more as a, setting a schedule for yourself when you're like, okay, I'm going to continue with my black coffee or my tea or whatever I drink on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. And then on Friday mornings, Saturday mornings, whenever you feel like it's a good treat, indulge in that
Yeah.
treat. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not an all or nothing thing. It never has been.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get into the mindset of like Halloween's here, therefore we're going to eat all the chocolate. And then, oh, well, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. So I'm going to have a Friendsgiving, and then my Thanksgiving with my family, and then my in-laws Thanksgiving, and then grandma's Thanksgiving. And then, oh, wait, there's Christmas. And I've got to have all these Christmases. And so you've got, by the time you're done, you've had a million calories and you haven't even thought twice.
Yeah.
But
and part of that too is, you know, we hopefully do have a little bit more time than we have in past years when we're doing these celebrations. And so if you are getting together with family, thinking about cooking something from scratch versus buying a box of something, you know, and that alone can make it an improvement on, you know, the health factor. You talked about, you know, if you're contributing a side dish or something like that, and instead of doing that traditional green bean casserole with all the cream of mushroom soup that's loaded with all kinds of sodium and fat and everything else, you know, make roasted vegetables. This is a perfect time of year for like roasted root vegetables, and it can be so delicious and so easy. I mean, the chopping is the hardest part, right? So you take some carrots, some purple potatoes, you know, make it fun. You know,
those
add
are
some of
pretty.
those.
Those are fun.
Yeah. And just put them all together in a pan with some olive oil, some salt and pepper, and maybe some, you don't have to get all hung up on, you know, which spices do I use? I just use whatever I can find in my spice drawer.
Yeah.
And then,
Right. Well, and then I've started using like the seasoned olive oil.
yeah,
Yeah.
flavored olive oils, and makes it so much easier and so much healthier. And then, you know, you don't have to fool with putting the creams and sauces and everything else on it. It tastes great without that. And you know, that can be your healthier contribution to the dinner. And then even if you're making sweets, you know, make it from scratch and do it with good ingredients and something that you know you truly enjoy. That's the other thing that I think about this time of year is we eat it because it's there. You know, people, there are 10 desserts on the table because people brought desserts to the gathering. And some of them might not be things you even like that much, but you're like, well, it's dessert and it's there and I've got to try it.
I'm just picturing my Thanksgiving. So we'll have about a normal Thanksgiving, 20 to 24 people come over to our house. And we'll have quite the spread of Thanksgiving, and then no less than 10 desserts. So you're like, well, there's might be 10. And I'm like, that's not an exaggeration. And of course, like you see everybody, it doesn't matter. The rule, even as kids, was with real food, you always have to put a little bit on your plate. You might not like it. You might not have to eat all of it, but you have to take a little bit. And I think that then translated to adults. And then with sweets, we're like, oh, well, we can't turn down this. We'll make Aunt Susie upset if we don't try a piece of her cheesecake. And so you just take a little piece of cheesecake, and then you're like, oh, well, then Shannon made chocolate chip cookies. I've got to take one of her cookies. And oh, well, then so-and-so made and so by the time you're done, you've had a Thanksgiving dinner, and then you've had another Thanksgiving dinner worth of desserts.
Yes.
And so
it's so easy to overload. And then by the end, you don't even feel good because you just like, I didn't enjoy that half as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. And I feel like crap.
Well, and I don't know if your living room looks the same way, but by the time that we're all done, we're all passed out on like couches and chairs and using each other as pillows and watching football, and half of us are asleep and half of us are just laying there like, and we're not moving.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, the only benefit to that is if you decide the next day or later that night to go lift or run, you will get a great workout. Your muscles are totally fueled. Most people don't do that. But I mean, like, say you eat like a machine on Thursday and then you go work out like a machine on Friday. That's about the only benefit you're going to get there. Outside of that, you're just going to feel bloated and fat and sleepy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll be hard to get yourself moving after all that. But yeah, you know, there's the whole politeness. Like you feel like you have to try everything that everybody made. And, you know, for me, like, I don't get offended if people don't try what I brought. I mean, it's
right.
I don't pay attention. And so take what you like, and, you know, you don't have to do everything out of obligation.
There's no plate inspector.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I think the other things is like, as we move into this comfortable season of like, I went on this nice long run, I'm going to then have, I don't know, the pumpkin spice latte is the only thing that keeps coming up because like, it's just on my brain right now. I have not had one yet. I should do that. But like, you figure if you go on a 5-mile run and say you average 100 miles per, or 100 calories per mile of burn, that's 500 calories that you burn. Some people burn more, some people burn less. Easy math. But then you look at the calories on one of these drinks and it's 560, it's 700, it's 350. And so your exercise that you just expended, the upside is you're not going over it all the time, but you're also not reaping much of a benefit. There's
Yeah.
no deficit there to work with. Like, so if you're trying to lose weight, then you just counterproductive to everything.
And it's so easy to do without realizing it. And, you know, as I do long runs, you know, I might burn 2,000 calories on a really long run day.
Yeah.
And you think, well, I'll never make up that deficit. Well, it's not so hard as you might think, especially
Not
when
that
you
hard.
add in the glasses of wine, the dessert that you think, oh, I
Yeah.
earned the dessert. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, post run, you're always like craving a sweet or a pastry or something like that.
I
It
earned
does.
this donut. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't take long at all to get back up to that point. And
Right.
did you know, speaking of donuts, that's like a thing out here. Like, I don't know how many donut shops
Really?
you've seen, but there are a lot of donut shops out here. And I think it's maybe
I'm going to have to check those out.
yeah, I don't know. It's not just like where I am either. I think it's like certain parts of the country, like donuts are such a big thing. Not that they aren't available, you know, back in Cincinnati, but
Yeah.
I've just never noticed such a concentration of donut shops.
I know we have that donut trail where like you go to like Holtman's or something, and if you say you're part of the donut trail, they'll give you like a little passport and you get a stamp. And there's like 7 or 8 other donut shops. But I mean, I don't
Oh,
know how concentrated they are there, but here, I mean, they spread everywhere from like, which it doesn't sound far, but then when you're like, I don't want to drive all the way over there, it goes from like Hamilton and Westchester. There's some are in downtown Cincinnati, and then a couple I think over in like the East Fork, Loveland, like where
mhm.
it's like farther. Those, and so you have to go a good way. It's not like you're just gonna run from one to another.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that's a thing. But it does take a minute to get to all of them.
yeah. There is, I will say, so the town that we're in, just down at the bottom of the hill, so a mile away from us, there's this infamous cinnamon rolls place. And so when
Ooh.
we first moved in, and we didn't quite have all of our stuff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
available and out yet, one morning, my husband went down and got cinnamon rolls, and these suckers are the size of your head. He
Mm.
got 2 of them because we need 2 for
Oh, okay. One
and
apiece, right?
yeah, right. And not when they're this big, but yeah, he got 2 of them, and you can get them with or
Wow.
without the icing. And the icing is actually like he
Oh,
said they actually took the roll while you're standing there and they roll it in the cream cheese
oh
icing,
my.
whatever it is. I mean, these were the most
My teeth
decadent,
hurt thinking of this.
right? These were the most decadent cinnamon rolls, and every day of the week. So I run past it most days when I run.
Oh
Every
no.
day of the week, starting at 6 a.m., there is a line for this place. Monday morning, 6
That's
a.m., there
awesome
is
though.
a line for this cinnamon rolls place, and it never goes down until they
Mm-hmm.
close. So we did
That's
have the
incredible.
cinnamon rolls. I think we ate combined maybe 3/4 of one of them. And it was good, but it was like one of those things where it's like I had like a quarter of one and I'm good. Like it was good, but I
Yeah.
don't need another one. And
It's almost kind of like overload.
yeah, you feel that overload as
Yeah.
soon as you finish. So I
Yeah.
think there's
I
that.
mean, that's something like,
Yeah, there's that where you just feel
yeah.
like, okay, I'm done. I've had my taste of it. I know what it's like, and I don't need it again.
I mean, I know some people have really strong sweet tooths or sweet teeth, I guess, however you want to say it. And they would not be able to control themselves. Like if they lived in your area, they'd be like, and that's where I'm going every day. But I
Yeah.
think sometimes if like when people say, oh, I can't or I'm not allowed or I shouldn't have that, like if you flip it and say, cool, that is my Friday morning treat, you can look forward to Friday. You can get one every Friday for as long as you want. Who cares? Like if you've done your workouts and the rest of your week has been like your nutrition and stuff has been spot on, have that Friday treat. That's one thing. You want to feel sick and bordering diabetic, you're fine. But
Right?
I mean, it's better than when they're like, oh, I shouldn't go, but I want to. And then they go. And then they do that every single day. And they're like, wow, I've gained 10 pounds. How did this happen? I run there and back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
and you just have, if you're already in that habit that you're trying to break, it seems
Mm-hmm.
impossible, that you kind of break that addiction. But once you give it
Mm-hmm.
give it a week, and try to not do it, and you will lose the taste
Mhm.
for it. I mean, we've talked about that before too. It's
Oh
just takes some time initially, because just like the cinnamon
yeah.
roll, like I can, a couple bites were nice, but like after that, I don't even want any more of it. So it's kind of one of those
Right.
things. Your taste buds get used to a different thing.
Yeah. And they're like, I really want real food. And then your body starts craving that good food. You're like, oh, I ate the cinnamon roll. And then like a few hours later, like, and to balance this out, my body would really like something real. That salad or that sandwich or that thing that I can recognize every single ingredient and know what it is. And it looks like it grew from the ground. I'll have that.
Exactly.
Your body's like, thank you.
Yes, it learns what it likes and
Mhm.
what's good for it.
Yep.
Yes, so much opportunity as we go into these seasons, and they are fun
I know.
seasons, and they should be enjoyed, but enjoyed
Mhm.
without wrecking your diet, your health, and everything else.
Yes. Yes. Oh man. It's so
Well,
easy. It's such a easy downhill slide. And everywhere you turn, it's like have this fruity, fluffy drink that is more sugar than coffee at this point in the game.
yeah, yeah. I think the main message that like has helped me is just be discerning. Like don't feel like you
Mhm.
have, you're going to miss out if you don't eat all of it. Pick
Right.
the really good stuff
Right.
and enjoy it. And then the rest of
Mhm.
it, just decide that, you know what, I don't really need it and it's not really going to make me happy.
Right. Right. Like I thought this would, but now I just feel sick.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. All right. Good lessons to live by this holiday season.
Yeah.
We
Good
also,
stuff.
speaking of getting into, things here soon, we have the virtual everything is canceled race in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So there's still
Yes.
time for people who want some motivation to get out there and either virtually run while
Hmm.
others are doing it, or even if you're in
Hmm.
Cincinnati, a little bit of a socially distanced option to run with some folks in Cincinnati too. So the 10th of October.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay
So 10th of
tuned.
October, we're hanging out and trying to make a virtually socially distant yet still feel like you have friends and misery loves company run.
Yes.
So, because I think that's been the biggest component missing from virtual races is you have weeks to a couple of months to get your race in, and there's no real like do it day. It's just like there's an end date where it has to be done by. But this one will be October 10th, 7 a.m. my time, not your time. It'll be like 4 a.m. your time. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
But 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 yeah, so we'll be running in the Mason, Ohio area with a few people, and then I've got a few people I'll hop on FaceTime and do or Facebook, one of those face things,
One of those things.
and do the official start. I'm kind of stealing a leaf out of Disney's book where they'll have like this huge international, I guess, a Zoom meeting for like a better description, where they're flipping through screens of people all across the world that are meeting together, and they're all going to take off. It's 4 a.m. their place, 4 p.m. other places, 5:30 a.m. our place, and so yeah,
Love it.
it'll be nice. And so you still got 2 weeks. There's you can do any distance you want, 5K, 10K, half, full, and so it only takes, even if you walk slowly and comfortably, it'll only take you an hour to walk a 5K.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Any level you can do it, and it's a good way to
mhm.
kick off the season, kick off that habit, and be able to
Yep.
get other supporters who will help you maintain that.
Yep. And so if people decide to do it, and then just like message me or something, I'll give you a virtual high five. If you want to join me, I'll send you the course. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be a good day.
Find you on Shan's Fitness Lab on
Hmm.
Instagram or Facebook, right? It's the same on both.
Yeah, I'm boring and I have the same thing everywhere. Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, and my website.
Perfect.
And so it's all the same.
Yes, that's the easy way to go. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lots of good things to come. So we'll connect again in a couple of weeks. Until then, stay warm and stay happy, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.